Well, as our kids get ready to head back to school, we need to look at the role that artificial intelligence will be playing in that learning process. You are seeing quite a few school districts looking to figure out how they are going to incorporate it into their processes this year and beyond. Pleasure to be joined by Hamsa Bastani, who is an associate professor of operations, information, and decisions here at the Wharton School. Hamsa, great to talk to you. How are you today?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
I mean, we have AI conversations so much about so many different things. This is not a surprise that we're having one about education, but I guess the question is just how it will be included, not necessarily in the college process, we're seeing that already, but in high schools, in grade schools. What are you starting to see and hear from some school districts?
Yeah, I actually just got off a conversation with some of the teachers in a high school, and they were talking about how this year they're going to start using Google Suite in the class. So they'll have Chromebooks for every student, and they're going to have access to Gemini and other tools like Notebook LM, which is unfettered access to AI. One of the things I've talked about in my research is that, giving students unfettered access to AI can harm their learning because they actually tend to over rely on those tools. The number one question they always ask is, what's the answer? So I was asking them, why are you choosing that instead of, something like Khan Academy or one of these ed tech tools that maybe has better built guardrails to support learning or a Socratic learning method? And they said that ultimately, our kids are going to go into the workplace and use these tools with unfettered access. And so that's what we're trying to prepare them for.
But are the kids at this point ready to have unfettered access? Like, have they learned enough about what AI is and how it can impact them that we can just go ahead and let them, kind of get going with this?
I don't think so. So that's what I worry about. So as a researcher, it's a kind of an exciting time, but as a parent and an educator, it's not a good time. I think it's very concerning. I mean, I don't think anyone knows the answer, but what we've seen from from at least our research studies is that students need to build the fundamental skills first, and then they can effectively use AI tools. And even then, you might have some worries about de-skilling. But if you don't have the basic fundamental skills down, then it's very difficult to even assess the outputs that AI is producing. And then it's also a huge cognitive load for them because they're trying to process all this new information. So they can't actually check the outputs and collaborate effectively with these tools. So I worry about that. The other thing I worry about is just taking away their sense of accomplishment, right? One thing that we see is, and this is so important for kids, that they have to feel that they have something to contribute, that they did something that they can be proud of. And when you're just prompting an AI tool and reporting back those results, you don't have that. And that's one of the reasons we see diminished motivation and engagement.
Is there also an element of this that if they are going to do unfettered access, that they feel this is the easiest way to implement it? I'm speaking about school districts
Yeah.
without necessarily having to make the investment on the teaching side, on the learning side, because we know with a lot of school districts right now, budgets are tight already, and it's
Mhm.
hard to add new things to what they already have in place.
Yeah, I think it's very much the path of least resistance, right? It takes a lot of work to go figure out what are the right guardrails, what are the right pedagogical innovations that you can use to leverage these tools. And like Ethan Malik and I've also been talking about, like it's actually difficult. That's an open research question. It takes a lot of exploration, creativity, and work. And school teachers are not paid enough to do that work. They
Right.
have no dedicated time or training to do that. Administrators, like you said, they have limited budgets. Just giving everybody access to one of these Google Gemini Suite or OpenAI subscriptions is kind of a cheap investment, right? And so it's kind of easier and it's less likely to be criticized. So I think it's kind of just going down the path of least resistance. And you see teachers reacting the same way. They're very much going back to, a bunch of them are like, can we find good plagiarism detectors? Can we just have
Yeah.
students write in their blue notebooks? Also things that are not going to work. And I think, without creating the time and space to explore and understand this better, this is what you can get.
But something you said a little bit ago, really, let me circle back to it, is there is something about when a kid, a child, comes up with an idea by
Mhm.
themselves on their own, it becomes very successful in the classroom. That's the similar formula that they need to implement when they're out in the workplace as well, we can't just rely on AI in the workplace, because it's, for me, I mean, it's like acting like a crutch. It will help you along, but it won't serve the larger good.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, also, if you could rely on the AI, then why do we need humans? We're going to end up firing our entire workforce. So we need to train people to add value above and beyond these AI outputs. And one of the things that really bothered me was my colleagues and I ran a study on chess, right? We hear AI has been much better than students for a long time, but people still play chess for the love of the game. And one of the things we found is that if we gave students, we followed them for about 3 months, we gave them different AI tutoring platforms. If we gave them the ability to click a button that lets you figure out the answer or give you the next move without having to think through it, they kind of started getting addicted to using that button, and they found chess less fun because when you figure out a really complicated move that, gets you a piece or wins you the game, that's when you feel great, even though it was a lot of work and a lot of struggle to get there. And so by eliminating this struggle, it's very difficult to say no to that because we don't like the struggle. We're also removing the sense of accomplishment.
So then, is the expectation, and I'll say this just from my perspective of just talking with you here for a few minutes, that while schools will implement AI, that this will still be a learning process for the schools to some degree, to understand its uses, its implementation, how it will impact students, as we move forward. It may not be, totally 100% just put it in and don't worry about it ever again, that there will have to be some watch and some research on just how it kind of focuses in to what students deal with in schools.
My perspective is probably a little bit more pessimistic than that. I guess, okay, so historically, we've had policies that we've invested lots of money in, like one laptop per child or the LA iPad, where we just threw money and technology at kids and hope they would learn better, and they have not worked. And sometimes they even have negative effects. The other, especially pernicious thing I think about generative AI is that now kids are not seeking their teachers for help. So we're losing the human connection. So we don't even know what's going on with our students. They don't come to office hours anymore. They don't ask for questions. They don't, parents tell me that, their kids don't come and ask them for help with their math homework anymore because they can just ask ChatGPT. So how would we even know what's going on with our kids? No one's talking to them. And that combination, I really worry about.
Hamsa, great to talk with you today. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Hamsa Bastani, who's an associate professor of operations, information, and decisions here at the Wharton School.